Dear Crisis, we still remember each and every challenge you've thrown our way. Though we know you will never take it easy on us, we just want to. Thank you. You've reminded us how lucky we are to live on solid and fertile ground. You've proved just how strong and supportive our healthcare system is. And it's you who made us realize that we are the beating heart of Asean with unique potential. Our people are not only highly skilled, but willing to adapt and maximize advanced technologies. Thank you again, Crisis, for preparing us even better for the future than ever. Thailand, the land of resilience.
Distinguished Excellencies, speakers, and participants, good morning or good evening, Savasdi Krap, depending on where you are watching us today from. Welcome to the webinar Think Resilience, Think Thailand, a prime business location for Swiss investors. This is a live webinar organized by the Thailand Board of Investment, together with the Royal Thai Embassy in Bern, the Swiss Asian Chamber of Commerce in Switzerland, and the Swiss Thai Chamber of Commerce in Thailand. My name is Martin Schneider, and I'm a member of the Executive Board, as well as Chairman of the Thailand Committee of the Swiss Asian Chamber of Commerce. I have been entrusted and received the honor to moderate this webinar event today. Our speakers are from the Royal Thai Embassy in Bern, the Swiss Embassy in Bangkok, the Swiss Asian Chamber of Commerce, the Thailand Board of Investment BOI, the Thai Chamber of Commerce and Board of Trade of Thailand, and from the Swiss companies Noventa and ABB. The purpose of this webinar is to update you on the investment opportunities in Thailand. 2021 is a special year, as 2020 has been. But 2021 is a particularly special year. It is the celebration of the 90th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Switzerland and Thailand. We do hope that you find this seminar of interest and that you can take away one or the other thought or useful information for your plans to invest in Thailand. Please note that all of your microphones and cameras will be disabled during the full length of the session in order to save you from entertaining noise like phone rings, dog barkings, or baby cries. Due to time constraints and in order to avoid disturbance of the flow of the program, we will not be able to respond to questions during the individual presentations. However, if you have any specific question, please write your question using the Q&A option in the menu bar on your computer. If all speakers comply with their time limit, including myself, We hopefully will have time to answer a few questions in the Q&A session planned at the end of this webinar. For all the other questions, the BOI office in Frankfurt will get back to you with answers to your questions in the upcoming days. Thank you for your understanding. Without further delay, let me now introduce you His Excellency, Mr. Chakri Srichavana, Ambassador of the Kingdom of Thailand to Switzerland, with some welcome remarks. Ambassador, the stage is yours.
Her Excellency Ambassador Helen Budliger Ataida, Ambassador of Switzerland to Thailand. Mr. Martin Schneider, Chairman of Thailand Committee, Swiss Asian Chamber of Commerce. Ms. Sonklin Ploy Me, Deputy Secretary General, Thailand Board of Investment. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Royal Thai Embassy in Bern, it is my great pleasure to be present here today at the BOI webinar, Think Resilient, Think Thailand, and to welcome all of you, members of the Swiss Asian Chamber of Commerce, as well as Thai and Swiss business community in both countries. As you may have already known, Thailand is encountering a new wave of COVID-19 infections that mostly found in prisons, construction labor camps, factories, and markets. The government has to reintroduce more stringent control measures, but limit them only in the provinces that are within the maximum disease control zones in order to maximize the impact on people's livelihoods. At the same time, authorities continue to conduct active case finding and expedite vaccine inoculations. Like other countries, the COVID-19 pandemic caused Thailand unprecedented social and economic challenges. The forecast for the number of foreign tourists in 2021 was reduced from 5 million to 2 million, whereas the country's growth forecast dropped from 3.5% to 1.5 to 2.5%. Despite the above outset, certain positive prospects for investors and entrepreneurs could still be seen. In first quarter of 2021, applications for investment promotion in Thailand rose 80% from the same period of the year earlier, with a total value of $3.9 billion US, led by projects in the medical and electric and electronic sectors. The investment in Eastern Economic Corridor, or EEC, also registered 39% higher in value than the same period of 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, with regards to business opportunities, Switzerland is an important trading partner and investor for Thailand. In 2020, Switzerland was Thailand's 13th largest trading partner, with total bilateral trade value at $9,772.58 million US, representing 2.23% of Thailand's total trade globally, and a growth of 9.52% over the previous years. Also, Switzerland was the 8th largest foreign investor in Thailand by value, and mostly in machinery industry. Still, I believe that there are potentials and more rooms to improve further. Thailand's economic development over the past 40 years, its position as the second largest economy in Southeast Asia, and a leading manufacturer of food, electronics, and cars, testifying to its strong fundamental and diverse industries. Now the country is taking a step further by implementing Thailand 4.0 policy, which focuses on developing high-tech, sustainable industry of the futures and making Thailand the digital innovation hub of Asia. In addition, the government has also announced the adoption of the Bio-Circular Green Economy or BCG model into the national agenda for the purpose of enhancing Thailand's capacity to react and respond to global trends, especially the new normal and post-COVID-19 recovery, and priorities including tackling environmentally sustainable growth and reducing greenhouse gas emissions in a transition low carbon society. This would contribute to enhancing Thailand's image as an attractive and environmentally friendly trade and investment partner and destination. Furthermore, being ranked 21st for ease of doing business out of 190 countries surveyed by the World Bank in 2020, and the top among 17 emerging markets stand out that could beat expectation in 2021, as studied by Bloomberg. Thailand's investment ecosystem offers advanced infrastructure, supportive investment policy, and comprehensive tax and non-tax incentives. Moreover, investors with facilities in Thailand enjoy cost-effective operation and ease of doing business. Ladies and gentlemen, apart from being a business talk, today's webinar also coincides with the occasion of the 90th anniversary of Thailand-Switzerland diplomatic relations this year. It therefore deserves being one of the activities to celebrate the occasion, and hopefully it would be an opportunity for sharing and exchanging views between our peoples, which would help keep our existing relationship, especially in terms of business and investment, more dynamic in the years to come. Without further ado, I believe that you would find out more from this webinar what Thailand can offer, its investment policy, incentive, and promotion. It would also be useful to learn from and exchange views with the Swiss companies who have business in Thailand, especially on their direct experience during the outbreak of the pandemic, and on how resilient one can think of Thailand. It would be my utmost satisfaction if this could trigger off the economic and investment of cooperation between Thailand and Switzerland and lead to tangible outcomes in the future. Thank you and สวัสดีครับ
Kopkun Krap, thank you Ambassador Chakri Srichawana for your presentation. Next, I would like to give a warm welcome to Her Excellency Mrs. Helen Budliger-Artida, Ambassador of Switzerland to Thailand, with her welcome address. Ambassador,
thank you.
The stage is yours.
Thank you very much. And hello from Bangkok. As usual and as suspected, my colleague, His Excellency Ambassador Chakri, has done an excellent job by addressing you all formally correct. So I will not repeat that so we can save time. Just wanted to say that I'm most happy to be here and to briefly speak to you, I want to thank Thailand's Board of Investment, of course, the Royal Thai Embassy in Bern, with whom we work excellently well, and then the Swiss Asian Chamber of Commerce. I really look forward to participate in this webinar, and I'm also thankful that I get a few minutes to speak to you. Ambassador Chakri mentioned it. This week is actually super special for both of us because we're celebrating tomorrow, to be exact, the signing of a friendship and commerce treaty between the Royal Kingdom of Thailand and Switzerland. And so, as you can see, commerce has always played a big role. And there was actually already commercial activity way before the 28th of May in 1931, but then we formalized our relationship. And if you look a little bit at history, it was the Thai former kings that actually started to discover Switzerland, explore Switzerland, and brought Thailand and Switzerland together. But I think nowadays, Ambassador Chakri would agree, it has really become a very strong people-to-people relationship. And while we're going to be talking a lot about trade and investment, let me also mention tourism as an important part of this people-to-people relationship. Currently, of course, a huge crisis, not only in Thailand, but also for Switzerland, which is a touristic country. But it's safe to say that Thailand is one of the most visited touristic destinations in Asia for Swiss tourists. And I'm also pleased to say that Thailand has become, before COVID, our biggest source market for tourism in Switzerland. So this means also that we know each other well. And as I said, it's a people-to-people relationship. And Swiss companies, and I'm hoping more and more Thai companies who will invest into Switzerland, of course, play a key role in this relationship. I'm particularly pleased to see that today the Swiss Thai Chamber of Commerce, a strong ally of the embassy, is also present. And then definitely would like to also greet very warmly Noventa and ABB, both members of the CHAM and both good friends of the Swiss embassy. And I don't know who did the picking, but you picked actually two very typical Swiss FDI. One, ABB, a global player, a household name. We feel very lucky and privileged that they're based in Switzerland. And then Noventa, more of a hidden gem, but equally important, a smaller company, maybe not such a household name, but actually representing, just as ABB, Swiss values of quality, precision work, being a company that also wants to skill up employees. So really congratulations whoever chosen these two companies, and I'm happy to share the space with them. Now, Thailand in the past has done very well with attracting FDI. And I feel somehow, although we are very different from the geographical space and also climate-wise and so on, but we're actually both countries that in the past have successfully reinvented ourselves. We both have an agricultural background, and then we have both moved into the industrial space with production, and then Switzerland being much smaller and maybe much more under pressure, we maybe moved a little bit more into the service area and the so-called 4.0 industries than Thailand. But Thailand is way underway going this route, and Thailand has a clear vision and wants to become Thailand 4.0. So at core, we have similar challenges and we share similar visions. And that's why I'm actually not surprised that over 200 Swiss companies have chosen in the past to invest into Thailand. And I see how many participants this webinar has, so I'm sure the interest is ongoing. Now, I've only been here a year and a half, but I can already see why Swiss investors would come to Thailand. And I'm happy to see that we are now in the top 10. When I came, we were 12. Nothing to do with me, but still happy to see that we're in the top 10. Thailand is, of course, geographically very well located. Asean is a very space certainly the infrastructure, as I said, geographic location to be a regional hub in a very dynamic and very interesting market. You all know, of course, how much the markets were growing before COVID, and the potential is there. And that's certainly of interest to Swiss companies. I must also, and I'm not saying this because I'm talking at a BOI event, I've been personally accompanying Swiss companies to the BOI now for a number of times. And I must say the BOI is showing really proactive and strong leadership, and also listens to us, which I appreciate particularly. So I feel that Thailand has given itself a good investment instrument and to actually attract further business. And I listen carefully to the BOI, who also says we also want to do sort of after sales and look after the companies which are already established in Thailand and see how we can support them. The BOI responded to our call for a broadening of their instruments. It was, of course, given the history of Thailand, very much focused on production very successfully. But now with Thailand 4.0 strategy here, we felt that it was also very important to support and assist the more knowledge-based industries, and Switzerland as one of the most innovative countries, as of course many of them. And I just want to say that we've had great engagement with BOI on clinical research. Switzerland is doing, Swiss companies are doing 50% of clinical research in Thailand, and had in the past not been supported by BOI, but now will be. So this sort of really getting the feeling that we're being heard, and then things are actually moving into the right direction fairly swiftly, is of course amazing, and I can really give testimony to it because I've been part of the process. Now, as good friends, you will also allow us to say what is on our wish list, and I have to immediately say private sector is never happy with government. I'm sure that if you would speak to the Swiss companies, there's also stuff that they would wish for the Swiss government to do. So this is really in no way meant as criticism. It's really just as we're trying to build here bridges. It's just really our wish list. So for the confidence to grow even further and for making Thailand more attractive, legal certainty is very important. This is important. This is true for everywhere. Ambassador Chakri mentioned how well Thailand by now is ranking in the easiness of doing business. We also take note that there is this regulatory guillotine. There's apparently a task force at the government, and that's really going through many regulations and to see if they can be cut or if they can be adjusted. And we would strongly support Thailand in this process, and if there is ever a need to exchange experiences, we would be very happy to do so. We feel that there is a need when it comes to the Migration Act. I'm hearing from Swiss companies that there is a need of clarification and possibly improvement. And then, of course, land ownership rights. I think it's been a topic for a long time, but I just want to make sure I mentioned it. And then Swiss companies tell me that they're very happy with Thai labor skills. But as we are moving into these more Thailand 4.0, bio-circular green economies and so on, it'll be important, just like Switzerland, we're facing really the same challenge to update Thai labor force. And again, Swiss companies actually are known for really also wanting to participate in growing their employees and investing into their employees. Because usually we don't bring Swiss staff to a country. Swiss staff is in general, first of all, rare because we're not a big population, and secondly, fairly expensive. Let me finish by saying that Switzerland has, as a member of EFTA, approached Thailand and has signaled to Thailand our desire to start renegotiating a free trade agreement. We believe that there is still potential to open up our markets further. And this is, of course, going in both directions. And Switzerland is one of the EFTA members. And since only Norway and Switzerland actually have an embassy here in Bangkok, it's pretty much my Norwegian colleague and myself who are in the lead. And we're very happy that Thailand has responded positively. We were a little bit thrown back with travel restrictions here and there on really starting the negotiations. But we have started a Thai EFTA business circle. So this is not a chamber or anything. It's really complementary. And I would like to invite all companies who have an interest in Thailand to join us. We are starting to do roundtable conversations around a number of topics. And I think it's a good way to accompany these free trade agreements negotiations, because it's actually something that government don't do for government. We actually do it for the private sector. So it would be good if we could hear voices from the private sector on the free trade agreement. This will be it again, very excited, and a big thank you to Ambassador Chakri. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow. You'll be able to celebrate a little bit more than I am, since we are here very much in the midst of third wave, but nevertheless, it will be a memorable day also for myself and my team at the Swiss Embassy in Bangkok. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Budliger-Artida, for your presentation. Let's now move to the next agenda point, which is an update and some comparison ASEAN and Thailand. My time credit actually is already used up, but I will try to keep my presentation as short as possible to regain some time. Just getting back to presentation. Sorry about that. I just fall out. Just 1 second. Where we go here. So, all right. Do you see my presentation now?
Not yet.
Not yet, but it says that I'm shared the screen.
You have to open first. Open the
Yeah, I
file.
opened it already, but for some reason it is not. I have the presentation open, you know, and it says I'm using the shared screen. So neue Freigabe, I restart. So now I think it should work again.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. The Swiss Asian Chamber of Commerce is the third largest on the foreign countries focusing chambers of commerce in Switzerland, after the Swiss American Chamber and the Swiss Chinese Chamber of Commerce. With respect to Thailand, the Swiss Asian Chamber of Commerce is closely working with the Thai Board of Investment and being the connector with Swiss companies interested to invest in Thailand. My presentation will address key issues relevant for companies to invest in Thailand. I will compare the ease of doing business, the investor challenges, the infrastructure quality, the free trade agreement situation, the taxation and incentives for investors into Thailand, and compare it with its competitors in Southeast Asia. Thailand is an economic powerhouse in ASEAN. Although it has only 1/10 of the entire population in ASEAN, it has a 50% higher GDP per capita than ASEAN overall. And 1/7 of the absolute GDP of ASEAN is Thailand. In absolute GDP, Thailand is the second largest GDP generator of all ASEAN members and generates about double of the GDP of Switzerland. The same way as Switzerland is located in the heart of Europe, Thailand is located in the heart of ASEAN. You can fly from Bangkok within 4 to 5 hours to any major city in ASEAN and even beyond to China and India. Certainly, we have to forget the pandemic year 2020 and half of 2021 when Bangkok airport was closed and one was not able to allow to transit through Bangkok. It was a difficult year for any traveler, but things will certainly improve in the upcoming months. Most of you have been in Bangkok, or many of the participants today live in Thailand or in Bangkok. I personally find it an exciting, attractive, colorful, and vibrant city in the land of smile. And I'm sure most of you will share my view. Bangkok and most of Thailand is a safe and convenient home for living and also doing business. Who are the main players in ASEAN worth considering when investing in Asia? Where does it make sense to establish a manufacturing operation besides China and the banking city-state Singapore? As China becomes increasingly risky for foreign investors due to political reasons, more and more companies are looking at alternatives to China. Don't put all your eggs in one basket is a saying also applicable here. The alternatives in ASEAN are Thailand, Malaysia, Vietnam, the Philippines, and Indonesia. The international rankings for ease of doing business and global competitiveness, Thailand and Malaysia score significantly better than the other players. So that's already a first selection criteria which you need to take into account. Thailand and its competitors' investor challenges. There are certainly challenges in all these countries. The question is only how severe are these challenges and can you cope with these challenges as a company? Besser and Associates has published the results of a regional survey among investors. We can see here that Indonesia and Vietnam are the worst countries with respect to corruption. And Malaysia is the worst country with respect to access to skilled labor, the dark red boxes. Thailand is doing a little bit better in these unpleasant disciplines, but has also plenty of room for improvement. Thailand scores comparatively much better than others regarding cybersecurity, information technology, infrastructure gaps, restrictions on service offerings, and taxation. These are the green boxes. This is a survey based on subjective inputs from investors. Thailand and its competitors in terms of infrastructure quality. Thailand is ranking best when looking at the road and the air infrastructure. We can see here all the green boxes which show a superiorness to others. Thailand's closest competitor is Malaysia in this comparison, where Malaysia scores better for sea-related infrastructure. But all the others, Indonesia, the Philippines and Vietnam, have still some significant need to catch up. Continuing on the infrastructure quality, Thailand shows here real strengths. This analysis reconfirms the superiority of Thailand in terms of customs clearance, general infrastructure for trade, international shipments, logistics competence, tracking and tracing of consignments, and the timeliness of delivery services. And we can see here Thailand has the best scores of all its competitors in comparison. Thailand and its competitors in terms of free trade agreements. As we all know, the free trade agreements are key for increasing trade and wealth of people. That's what also Switzerland's strategy is. The rationale for the ASEAN organization is exactly this, and not only to enhance the trade within its member states, but also to the other markets outside ASEAN. ASEAN has been working for the last 54 years on establishing a free trade area and is still far from an integration level of the European Union. Nevertheless, things are slowly improving. With respect to FTAs with Switzerland, Indonesia and Vietnam are a bit ahead of Thailand. But we just heard from the Swiss ambassador, things are now moving again because Switzerland has been very active with Thailand on this matter many years ago. The FTA negotiations between IFTA and where Switzerland is a leading member and Thailand have been stuck for a while, but now I think it looks, or we hope for, that this comes true in the next 2 or 3 years. Taxation. Thailand is very attractive when it comes to corporate taxes and VAT. However, competition is not sleeping. Vietnam has already matched the Thai tax rate, and Indonesia and Philippines plan to match it and will follow in the next few years. In terms of incentives, we will have, after my presentation here, 2 presentations exactly on this matter, on the incentives for investors to Thailand. So therefore, I don't need to go into detail. I just want to give a rough note on this, that Thailand has built a sophisticated activity and merit-based incentive program. Therefore, I don't need to go in more detail right now, as we have excellent, the perfect speakers of the BOI afterwards. The only comment is that the corporate tax benefits for investors in Thailand are at similar levels, like its competitors, but the non-tax incentives appear to me clearly more favorable to its competitors. However, the competitors are not sleeping either. Thailand is certainly under pressure to adjust its program continuously in order to keep headway over its Asian competitors. With this, I like to conclude my overview on ASEAN and Thailand. If you need any operational management support and consulting by seniors related to Thailand and the region, my company Brainforce is happy to talk to you. Thank you for your attention. Our next presenter is Mrs. Sanlaya Aksharamat, Director, Thailand Board of Investment, Frankfurt office, to present about BOI support policy and measures. Kun Sanlaya, please present us your policy and measures.
Thank you very much, Martin. Excellency and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor for me to be given this opportunity to speak at this webinar. Today's agenda, I will be talking so much about the BOI incentive and policy and also the BOI service. After my presentation, the BOI Deputy Secretary General will focus more about investment opportunity, particularly the opportunity after COVID-19 crisis. So let me start first to telling you a bit about the Thailand Board of Investment or the BOI. For the BOI, we are the government agency under the office of the Prime Minister. Our job is to support and facilitate investor, both existing investor and the new investor. We can provide you with comprehensive information and advice on establishing operation in Thailand. And also we are the coordinator between the foreign business community and other public agencies. And our main job is to grant incentive that we have a strict scheme, both tax incentive and non-tax incentive. And also we can provide business support service for investors. As you can see on the slide, our major responsibility includes providing tax incentive and non-tax incentive to investment projects. I will not go into detail for each tax incentive, but just to mention about the key tax incentive that we can provide for the investor, such as the exemption of corporate income tax, that the range of exemption depend on what you do or what kind of you produce and what kind of service that you can provide. And also another tax incentive on duty concession, such as import, the exemption of import duty on machinery that you bring in to apply to your project. And also if you bring in raw material to use for export, you can get the reduction from the BOI. Another non-tax incentive, that this is a kind of facilitation for the investor who want to do business in Thailand. For such as we can allow you have 100% of the share ownership. In general, in Thailand, normally foreigner cannot allow to have 100% share ownership. But if you get the BOI promotion, no whether you are in manufacturing and service, you can allow 100% foreign share ownership. And for another non-tax incentive, such as the permission to own land, this is the same. Normally, foreigner cannot own land in Thailand, but if you got the BOI, you can have a permission to own land. And facilitation to work visa and work permit. And also we can grant incentive if some company want to bring in expat to work in your project in Thailand, and so on. For the corporate income tax incentive, that the package that we are running at the moment are based on activity-based or standard incentive. So the length of the tax incentive would depend on what you do, what kind of product you will be manufacturing, or what kind of services you will be provide, and the level of technology that you will be applied for the project. But at the same time, you can obtain additional incentive at the right side of my presentation, because there are certain things that we want people to do more, such as research and development, support academic or technology and human resource development fund, IP licensing, advanced technology training, and so on. If you do this activity on top of your project, you will get additional incentive at the same time on top of standard incentive. And also we have the area-based incentive, such as you invest in the EEC area, Eastern Economic Corridor. This is our prime time area that we want more investment in this area. So we offer a special incentive on top of the standard incentive if the investor locate their project in the EEC area. If you want to know how many years that the tax incentive you will be granted from the BOI, this slide show the rent that you can grant the BOI incentive rent to 8 years, rent to 0 year to 8 years. As you see on the side, this is a standard incentive with the number of corporate income tax will depend on activity or product or technology that you apply for your project. For example, if you produce automotive, part with high technology, your project will belong to A1 to A4. That means you can get both tax and non-tax incentive. But if you just produce a simple product or you just provide only services, your project will belong to B1 and B2. That means you will get only non-tax incentive. And you can check whether your business can be promoted or not from our website. That currently we have a long list, around 200 activities. I would like to turn to my last part of my presentation, the BOI service. At the BOI, we have a one-stop service, or OSOS. This is a kind of a single window that's especially for the newcomer who want to start a business in Thailand. At the OSOS, we have our representative from several government agencies related to business operation to provide information and advice to the investor. At the OSOS, you can register your company ID, your employer ID, and the tax ID at the same time. And also, we also have the one-stop service for visa and work permit that only provide for BOI promoted company. At the service, you can use only 3 hours to get visa and work permit if you submit the complete document. If you don't want to have a business in Thailand, but you want to work in Thailand, this is an option. We can provide you facilitation called Smart Visa. This is a program intended to attract the high-skilled worker or expert on and attract senior executive and investor and startup to work in Thailand. The Smart Visa is used as a work visa. That means people who receive Smart Visa no need to apply for work permit. And also you can get maximum up to 4 years, longer than normal visa that you will get 2 years of visa. And also another privilege that attach the Smart Visa, such as your family also get the Smart Visa and also can work in Thailand as well. Last but not least, I want to introduce about our service. This is the kind of matching business program. We call the BOI Unit Industrial and Investment Linkage Development or BILD. This is a kind of matching business program service that we can help you to find a part sourcing and technical assistance, and also we can help you to find joint venture and partner, especially for part sourcing. We can arrange the event part sourcing between the buyer from overseas and the local Thai part manufacturing, and everything of our service are free of charge. And this is the contact point. You can contact at the BOI in headquarters in Bangkok, and also you can contact our office in Frankfurt that covers Switzerland. That's all of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Konsonlaya Aksharamat, for your comprehensive presentation. Our next presenter is Mrs. Songklin Ploimi, Deputy Secretary General of the Thailand Board of Investment. She will present about the investment and sourcing opportunities in Thailand. Kun Songklin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Martin. And thank you, Kun Saraya, for your good presentation and introduction of the BOI Thailand Board of Investment and Service and Incentive. And also, Kun Martin already, mentioned a little bit about, Thailand comparing to other ASEAN countries. Some of you may, doubt why Martin has to say about the ASEAN countries. So I would, like to repeat that, when you are looking for a place, a new place to invest overseas, and if you are considering some parts of Asia or Southeast Asia, so when you think about Southeast Asia, we have to compare Thailand to other countries in this area. That is why, I also would like to focus on, some part that Kun Martin hasn't touched on it, but the part that he already mentioned, I will not talk about it because, his information is good enough. So let me start with this. This is I would talk on the market, because in this picture, you will see the Thailand as the gateway or the center of ASEAN. It's here. And I would talk about the population of Thailand combined with some neighboring countries, 4 countries around Thailand that can connect with Thailand with the land transportation. And if we add more for the ASEAN countries, 10 countries together, the population is more than 400 million consumers. And if talking about Thailand only, we have the population of about 68, 69 million people. And the group of consumer that has the purchasing power is more than 70%. It's about 52 million, and also combined with the 4 countries, which is the emerging countries in this area like Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and Vietnam. The market size is 4 times bigger than Thailand, and combined the ASEAN 10 countries is 10 times bigger than Thailand. So I think when you consider to invest overseas now, I don't think that you will invest only for domestic market, because if the country that you are considering to invest is not the big country, you have to think about the neighboring countries as well. That is, what I am saying, that Thailand is a part of that. But if you say that, okay, let's say the ASEAN market is big, and why we have to, or you have to invest in Thailand, I would say again that we have the good infrastructure. Because if comparing to the neighboring countries, our infrastructure is not only transportation, it's like digital infrastructure, it's the advanced, facility that can support your investment in the high technology from Switzerland. We also, has the superior if comparing to the ASEAN countries, and especially Kun Sanaya, the director of Frankfurt office, already mentioned EEC area. It is Thailand Eastern Economic Corridor. It is a little bit in the eastern part of Thailand and the east of Bangkok. It's not far from Bangkok. It's about 2 hours. And in some case, it's about 1 hour and a half, because in that area, we have, a lot of industrial estate, that has a good infrastructure inside, and they have the service also to, serve the investor, the foreign investor. This is why I say that comparing to ASEAN country, the market size is big enough, and you choose Thailand, we can connect, to our ASEAN country, to land transportation or sea or air transportation, and for about the free trade agreement that can, help you to reduce, your the cost or the price of goods. Kun Martin already mentioned about the FTA, and I will touch on only the RCEP that already just signed last year, and is, planned to be effective this year. This is the 1/3, it is the size of the market for the RCEP countries. The member is 1/3 of the world size of market. So it should be the big opportunity for the company or the investor that is thinking about, invest in the member of RCEP. And the ease of doing, I don't mention it because, Kun Martin and the Excellency already mentioned that the Thailand is good enough, because the ranking of Thailand in the world is good. especially in ASEAN, we are number 3rd in ASEAN, follow only the Singapore and Malaysia. And the Thai government is not, they don't stop from this ranking. We are trying very hard now. We have the task force, have a meeting nearly, every week just to move up our ranking in the top 10 of the world. And let's see in the future, in the near future, we are moving, to the top 10, But I just want to, say to you that the high score of ease of doing business of Thailand, the one that maybe investor may be consider is, we got a high score more than 80, nearly 90 in the areas of investor protection. This area we got a high score, that's mean, it can give you the confidence if you invest in Thailand. The risk to invest in Thailand is low, and the good score is on the starting business in Thailand. We has, good score on this. That's why the ranking of Thailand is moving up. So, and this is our survey. This is a BUI survey. We have done a survey every year for the investor that already have the operation in Thailand. And last year also we have done this survey. The company that has been in Thailand, small or medium or big one, they respond of these investors just say that they still, want to maintain the investment in Thailand, and some company, would like to expand the business also in Thailand. So the total of the respondent, 96% of the survey indicated they plan to expand and maintain investment in Thailand. This show, just to make you feel confident, to invest in Thailand, because of existing company or existing investor can tell you. And our next speaker, two of the company that is our guest speaker today can, tell me more. And it is rather than I told you, I think. And the reason, that the company that has answered the survey, the factor that they said they would maintain or expand because of the supporting industry in Thailand is good, having supportive investment incentive, and also infrastructure. But I didn't show the infrastructure here. Just say that incentive is one of the factors. So that's why BUI has to say to you today. For supporting industry, this is the evidence, can show you that this is a survey of Japan. Some of you may know that Japanese investor is the #1 investor in Thailand. And when they have done a survey every year also amongst the Japanese investor in Thailand, in other countries also. And this is the part of raw material and part localization or procurement. And the survey showed that, the company in Thailand, they have localized or procurement locally, about 60%, more than half, rather than importing. This is the factor that, many companies in our survey showing that the factor that they would maintain or expand business in Thailand is supporting industry. I'm not sure that why they purchase the part or raw material in Thailand, but the cost may be one of the factor, and this also is a survey of the JETRO, the Japanese organization. Thailand, if compared to other Asian countries, we are lower. The cost of production in Thailand is lower, but maybe the cost in Thailand may a little bit higher, if comparing to the ASEAN countries, but not the cost only cannot say you that you will purchase or procure locally. It may be quality and standard and also delivery, many things together. And this is EEC, opportunity in EEC. We have many phases of development, in the EEC, Eastern Economic Corridor area. that would be the like a business hub of Asia or ASEAN, you know, and this is the opportunity, you know, many kind of opportunity. It can be real estate, it can be construction, and it can be industry, you know, and some of the industry that is a high opportunity is like medical, biotechnology, and food for the future. This is all, you know, next generation automobile. This is because why it is this industry, because infrastructure that the government is trying to build, trying to spend the money, you know, is, you know, just to welcome this investment. So may I start with opportunity of industry, you know, that is sure just to make you more your confidence. Is the first one is digital industry. You know, let's see that why digital. I don't want to say about the COVID-19 because COVID-19 show you more that the high opportunity of digital industry is everywhere in the world, you know, but I just want Thailand to be a part of that opportunity. And for the Thai government, we're trying very much, you know, just to have, you know, the like a digital infrastructure. And now, you know, for the people that can access to the free Wi-Fi, now it's cover 50, actually more than 50,000 village. It's mean in the rural area. And if you look at this map, you know, you see it's every part of Thailand. That means every part of Thailand can access to the free Wi-Fi, you know, that is provided by the government. And also, I talk to many investors in this sector, you know, when they want to make decision, they will consider the data protection law and the tax related to digital service. So Thailand now, you know, is considering this factor, and it is seriously, you know, considered, and we are, you know, planning to be effective for this protection law and e-service or the tax within this year. This is the ecosystem that can make you, you know, consider that Thailand is suitable or not for your digital industry investment. And come back to the demand, you know, Thailand, if talking about the consumer, you know, the population of Thailand is big, but, you know, you see Thailand is maybe, I don't know, different or not from other countries. One people can have, you know, they have more than one mobile phone, you know, the number of the people that use mobile phone is 90 more than the total population. And, you know, internet user is about 70%, you know, that means the literacy of the people in Thailand, you know, for the digital industry, it's okay at the moment. And for infrastructure, like internet speed, you know, last year, you know, Thailand ranked #1 for the fixed internet downloading speed. You know, this is for, maybe it's good for office, you know, this is our pride, you know, that is the government trying very much to put Thailand at the forefront of digital industry. Okay, come back to social media also. This is more than 70, it's nearly 80% of the total population. So you see the demand in this sector is high, you know, but the demand may be only one factor. But if you talk about, you know, the skilled labor, you know, also we have the ICT professional, you know, more than 300,000 people, and the number of new graduation is around like 70,000. So I think the skilled labor in Thailand maybe can serve you for your future business in Thailand. And this is the growth. The demand is there, and also there's a growth, you know, for this industry. You see the e-commerce in Thailand, you know, increase more than 100%. Shopee is the one from Singapore and Lazada, more than 100%. Shopee is 400%. You see, this is the growth of like a basic digital services. So next, go to the medical industry. Medical industry is just, the demand is there on the left-hand side. Ecosystem in Thailand, there's a demand for, for the hospital and the private sector in healthcare sector, So, and some hospital in Thailand got the standard, JCI standard. It means, if, there's a service of the Swiss company, can serve, the hospital that has the standard also. And for the demand for the medical services, I just prove only the medical tourists in Thailand is 3.5 million in the past, before COVID-19. And I think after COVID-19 and everything, the pandemic reduced, I think that the medical tourists to Thailand may be more than this, and then the medical tourists, they spend, spending, is about 500 million US dollar. That means Thailand is the 5th biggest medical tourist market. So the opportunity also is there, for, the service in medical device. And for the market, as I mentioned, after the COVID-19, maybe more. And now the growth of the market is 8 to 10% in Thailand. So opportunity is there. The company in Thailand is about 600, but frankly speaking, they have technology not high. So we still welcome, the partner from, maybe Switzerland is the strength of Switzerland is in medical sector. So you can go to Thailand and invest and have 100% foreign ownership. It's up to you. But if you want to have the partner, maybe BOI can help you because it is our service, the matching is free of charge. If you want to have the partner, we can coordinate and then matching for you. So this the demand and the ecosystem in Thailand for this medical sector. And as I mentioned, we have the public sector and private sector on the health sector. But the spending, you see, the government itself spending 80% of the total expenditure on healthcare services. And the private is only 20%. But for the private sector, the growth is higher than the government. So so these two, group of the demand is higher and higher. So the medical device, medical supply can be a good opportunity for the investor. But what about the consumer in Thailand? In Thailand now, the people in Thailand, because they are the middle income group, most of them. So they are, very serious and concerned about their health, So the pharmaceutical industry is a good opportunity. Also, combining with the aging society in Thailand. So I think that the pharmaceutical is going to be one of the big market in Thailand as well. And for the government, the government of Thailand is trying very much, just to, promote Thailand or support Thailand as the medical hub. And we also, the BOI, is issue the new activity or new policies to support, what we can think can support the medical sector, like clinical research, contract research organization, clinical research center. This is all that I think that the Swiss company, has the strength. And, these services get a higher incentive from the BOI. It's a priority area in medical sector. So this is the support of government, and supply chain in Thailand, we have allowed 600 company. Maybe if you need the low cost of medical supplies from the local company. Okay, you can have the supply chain in Thailand as well, and the current supporting industry and supply chain in Thailand in other industry also can diverse, just to support you, for their expert in the area of their expert. The last one that I would touch, that is, I think, is the strength of Swiss company is the BCG economy. I think this maybe it's a biotechnology and it's the circular economy, it's a green economy. And it's not only in Thailand, I think it's the world, target, it's the world goal, just to be like a grow in and concerns about environment. I chose this opportunity because I just want to say that just to want you to have the confidence that the Thai government has, the aim or the target. This is our strategy, just to be the BCG like a economy models of Thailand in the next 5 years. So when the policies of the government, that means we have the policy, so we will have some, like supporting measures just to reach that goal. So if you are considering to invest in like a biotechnology or the green energy and circular or recycle activity, and you concern, or even you are, producing other products, but you concerned about environment. So please think about Thailand, because Thailand can serve you. This is our, government policy. And this is just example that we have the roadmap for plastic waste management, and some of the project has been done, and it's the good we have a good results also. And why biotechnology? I just say that, because the excellency already mentioned a little bit that we have like agricultural products. We have the raw materials that can support a wide range of products in bioeconomy sector. So this is our strength. So we want to rely on our strength. During COVID-19, we found that we have to rely on ourselves and use our strength to be more, sustainability. And also facility infrastructure. We have the science park, we have the EEC area, we have innovation park, we have university research. So this can be corporate and support your investment. And also we have, the government has set, some areas as the bio complex, some already implemented like in the up north of Thailand, and some area is under, implementing. So this is all, just to show that this is the effort of the Thai government just to be, reach the BCG economy model. And our model, BCG model, we focus the first sector. The first 4 sectors that we focus is food and agriculture, medical and wellness, and energy and material in biochemical, also tourism and creative economy. This is our 4 sectors, that we think that can bring Thailand to achieve the BCG model. And I already mentioned we have developed, some area. So if you think to invest in Thailand, you can choose, which one is suitable for your product. But, the lower part is the talent on the left-hand side, and the knowledge or technology on the right-hand side of this slide is the one that we would welcome, the investor, because we don't have, the expert, and we need technology in this area. So we welcome foreign investor, especially from Switzerland. So this is all my presentation, and, these 3 areas I mentioned is an opportunity. high opportunity in Thailand and get higher incentive, you know. So we can discuss more, you know, you can talk to the Kun director from the Frankfurt office, or you just want to contact at the headquarters. It's also, you are very welcome. And from the next speaker, maybe can, you know, support my idea or my speak, what Thailand is good or appropriate for your investment. Thank you.
Thank you, Kun Songklin, for your very interesting presentation and valuable inputs for considering Thailand as the prime business location in ASEAN. Looking at our webinar timeline, I see that we are 30 minutes behind schedule. So I like to take this opportunity as maybe a small pre-warning for all the audiences, all the people attending today, that the webinar will last longer than planned. Our next topic is looking ahead, Thailand economic relief and recovery post-COVID-19. I'm very pleased to have Mr. Surong Pulakul, Vice Chairman of the Thai Chamber of Commerce and the Thai Board of Trade of Thailand with us today. Kun Surong, I hand over the microphone to you.
Sawasdee krap. Thank you very much, Martin. His Excellency Ambassador Chakri, Her Excellency Ambassador Helen, Kun Salaya, and Kun Songklin. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for having us as an opportunity to giving a speech to the potential investor from Switzerland. First of all, I would like to thank everyone to be here with us, and would like to re-emphasize Her Excellency Helen about relationship. I think Thailand and Switzerland is the relationship between or beyond the nation. We are people to people. And if you ask the people, everyone in Thailand knows Switzerland. Besides that, everyone in Thailand wants to go to Switzerland. So we are waiting to have a clean air, beautiful mountain, and warm chocolate milk in the future when the sky is open. And I'm pretty sure that our Swiss friend would miss a beautiful beach in Phuket, in Krabi, with 5-star hotel in 3-star prices. So I think this is the relationship that breaking through, and we don't have much needed introduction besides doing business in Thailand. What would be done? I think previous speaker have been mentioned a lot of information and opportunity of doing business in Thailand already. So let me emphasize on a few matters that elaborating the tangible opportunity that you can bring it when you're doing business in Thailand. I think I'm going to go with visible and tangible, which is transportation infrastructure, followed by ease of doing business. I think I'm going to elaborate Kun Salaya and Kun Songklin on what is the new product that we are doing, and we're going to target industry, what is Thailand government is promoting, and what is the potential industry that we would like to welcome to come to Thailand, and giving the maximum privilege for this industry, and go beyond economic recovery measure as well as role Thai Chamber. Let me introduce Thai Chamber of Commerce to you briefly. We are representing about 70,000 entities in Thailand, including foreign Chamber of Commerce. We work hand in hand with the government, try to produce a effective way and measure in terms of solving a lot of problems from the private industry toward the government. We have a regular meeting with them together with BOI and Ministry of Commerce, try to eliminate a lot of obstacles in Thailand that is preventing the doing business easier in Thailand. So first of all, let me go to briefly on the transportation infrastructure. Basically, there are 5 infrastructure platform that we are already working, and you can see that visibly the next time you come to Thailand, you can see a lot of change in terms of infrastructure. First of all, the intercity rail network. We are in the process of do double track railway network along the Thailand to make the connectivity on the rail transport much more effective on that. Secondly, we are doing the capacity of the road map network. That means we are improving the road network to Thailand. So it's going to be easy and safety road network that's going to go throughout the country. And thirdly, we are doing a lot of business or a lot of network expansion in terms of mass transit and railing. Together, we're adding 300 kilometers of mass transit within Bangkok. So you're going to see a much different landscape of public transport in Thailand for the next 5 years. The first one is basically we are increasing the aviation hub connecting between road, rail, and airport. So we can allow link and making it easier and possible to move the mass.
Pardon me, Mr. Bulakul.
Yes.
Your PowerPoint slides have not been changing. So we cannot see your PowerPoints.
Just a second, okay?
No, thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
You get it now?
No, we still see just your first slide. Maybe you need to turn the PowerPoint on to presentation mode.
Okay, let's start again, please. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Did you get it?
Yes, we can
Martin?
see the slides now. Yeah.
Okay. Can you still?
You can send it anyway. Yeah, because like I've been following up with her so many different things, and then she probably like fed up picking up my call anymore. But I did mention already about this logo, and I said that actually you can consult within yourself because we got endorsed by Asean already, and actually ACSDSD should know better than we do. So yeah, I told them to so she's like, okay, sure, I'm on it. And then everyone is now in the meeting. So I'll check when they leave the meeting. I don't know. It seems like it's not their priority or what. I mean, it's the event, it's coming up, and then I feel like they're always in the meeting, and then
Are we on?
Yeah.
Martin?
Yes, you're on.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to the fourth point in terms of the air support or air transport. We have connectivity between airport, rail, and road, which is going to improve significant mass movement of population, go beyond the Bangkok city and Bangkok airport. And finally, we have much improved in terms of maritime transport. We are expanding Lam Chabang from 8 million ton of container to 18 million, and in the progress of expanding the Lam Chabang port. So the accessibility of the logistic part in Thailand will be much more improved for the next 5 years. Let me go through the next connectivity of the regional. We are quite well developed in terms of land infrastructure. Next, please. Land infrastructure that we are ready to connect Dawai in the western side in Myanmar once it's ready, and connecting Da Nang from Vietnam from the east side. So we are connecting the rail, the port, and the road all together in the eastern seaboard. So that is going to be more efficient in terms of moving and lower cost in logistics. Next, we have well developed the land transport with connectivity to the region to be land-based ASEAN center. And we have the connectivity from north to south, from China to Malaysia, and east to west, it's from Vietnam to Myanmar. So this is all the connectivity, make it easy to transport. So we are thinking like we are being a Switzerland in ASEAN, where everyone can come visit or come through us, and doing business in Thailand much easier. So the infrastructure is being built, and a lot of them already exist, especially from the Bangkok to the northeastern part of Thailand. It's a lot of toll road that are being built, and some are ready. So the moving across Thailand going to be much easier by automobile in the near future. Beside the road, we're doing double track rail, which is going to have a high-speed train. Our plan is, our ultimate plan is to make train available from Bangkok to Laos and go to the connected to the Chinese rail network. So this is going to make the efficiency of moving people among the ASEAN and beyond to be more accessible, more conductivity among them, especially in the area where the freight transport will be moving. So we're going to be open up the Mataput port for the regional movement, so the cargo can be traveling from Mataput to Laos, to China, and to Cambodia efficiently in the future. Let me concentrate a little bit by Kun Songkrin have been mentioned about EEC, and the key component that being conducted at the moment is the infrastructure linking airport, rail, and road system between Mataput, which is in Chonburi, up to Bangkok and go through the three airport, which is going to be efficient for transportation and network hub that people can move around easily. So we are expecting a little bit over 1 hour to move from Mataput to Bangkok through high-speed rail network. It's being conducted at the moment. So this is the area of concentration of the infrastructure that we are being built at the moment. Next, please. Besides that, this is the area of interest and investment that the Thai government have already invested. So far, we have committing about $500 million US in terms of investing in the eastern seaboard of Thailand. It consists of Utapao Airport, Mataput Port, which is going to expand the cargo capacity and connectivity with China, Lam Chabang Port, high-speed train, double-track railway, as well as motorway, and also increasing the tourism in the eastern part of Thailand, which is Pattaya and Rayong, is the prime area where the tourism will be promoted. Next, please. Also, I'd like to congratulate that Thailand or Bangkok going to have a complete mass transit system in the near future. We have together 6 color rail rail transport project in together about 300 kilometers connecting east to west, north to south. So you can see the landscape of Bangkok, which used to notoriously known as the bad traffic, going to be much more improving with all this infrastructure on the mass transit transport is being planned. Many already been in operation and extension to the regional suburban area. So we can be easy access and easy transport throughout Bangkok itself. Just briefly mention about ease of doing business, which many have been already mentioned. We are certainly ranking number 21. Next, please. Number 21 and ranking number 3 in ASEAN. So we are pretty much advanced in terms of infrastructure and room to grow. Although we cannot compete with infrastructure in Singapore, but we have much larger land base and much better connectivity that needed. So the area are growing, and I think we are quite superior in terms of the infrastructure in the next 5 to 10 years. So Thailand and Bangkok going to be one of the cosmopolitan that have enough sufficient mass transit to transport people around. So next, please. So we are ranking number 27, which is BOI have been mentioned, and a lot of infrastructure as well as digital infrastructure already being built. And this is the statistic of how we are ranking, and we are improving. And I believe that once our Eastern Seaboard infrastructure have been being built, as well as the mass transit are being built, I think our ranking will be further. When we move into the pain point that our foreign investors have, Kun Saraya already mentioned about smart visa. So I think this is the area where we're going to be changing the rule and regulation, and the private sector. Our Thai Chamber of Commerce have been behind the scene, push a lot of this activity in terms of making living in Thailand is much more friendly and easier. So there's going to be multiple type of visa to be introduced rather than a current one-year visa. We doesn't require a work permit. We are giving the dependent, spouse and children having a comfortable live and stay without worry about visa problem, and extend the 90 days reporting to annual reporting. This is the area where BOI have been introduced and trying to offer to the BOI member, but the Thai Chamber of Commerce is going to do beyond that. We try to make sure that a lot of this obstacle going to be implemented throughout the country, and everyone, every foreign investor would be benefit from this smart visa once the category is complete and go beyond the BOI acceptance. Next is regulatory guillotine, and I think this is the painful not only for the foreign investor, but foreign it's also for Thai. And there's a lot of guillotine already have been introduced, and we are working behind the scene on trying to eliminate a lot of this unnecessary or obsolete rule and regulation that is imposed by the government. This is basically including the national citizen, a single platform for business portal, is introducing e-documentation and solving a lot of e-service. So basically, we are bringing the document to you rather than you have to go and get the document. So this is the area I think we are moving along quite well, and we have a lot of support from the government agency of helping us to try to clean up a lot of obsolete and obstacle rule and regulation that we are facing. So this is a national agenda, not only for the foreign investor, but both the Thai operating going to be enjoying the freedom of the regulatory guillotine that we impose at the moment. It takes time, it's a lot of effort, but we are never give up on this one. The next one that I would like to introduce you is the Thailand National Single Window. This is basically to put all the rule and regulation and documentation required on the single platform. So far, we have several 37 agencies that agree to form a national single platform where document and information would be based on the same platform. We are already kicked off the project by the Thai Banker Association in terms of export-import financing. We have a support from the Custom Department in terms of using national single window to introduce the documentation on the electronic form and digital form. So this is going to be helping a lot of import and export to be easier in Thailand, as well as to do the financing in supporting to the nation. So this is the effort that we try to include all the unnecessary or the necessary document to be implemented throughout the national single window. And in the larger scale, next please, in the larger scale, we are going to be connected to ASEAN single window, which is basically is going to be connected throughout the region. Next please. And this is the list of the supporting government and private agency to be supporting the national single window. Next, please. And this is the area where the government already giving the digital service platform to the business cycle that being implemented at the moment. Next, please. This is basically what we're trying to do with the regulatory guillotine. With the FOREAP is the reduction or cancellation of license fee, improving the law on license of reduction, improving the Thai impede province of the electronic service to the public. And this is the law that being helped in terms of supporting the travel, hotel industry, as well as the Medicare, Medicaid sales industry as the primary sample of the business that we try to help. And again, like me going through the next please, a target industry. So I'd like to introduce briefly on the target that what the Thai government as well as Thailand Chamber of Commerce would like to introduce and what is our preference in terms of business industry. The first S-curve that we have is including next generation automotive drive, which including EV, the intelligence of electronic, advanced agriculture, food for the future, as well as hygiene of high value of tourism is going to be introduced on the first curve. On the new S-curve, we're going to be working on automation, on robotic, airport and logistic improvement, medical and comprehensive healthcare, biofuel and biomedical, digital, defense industry, as well as the education and human resources. I understand a lot of several universities are considering Thailand as the regional base for their education. So this is the exciting new S-curve that we're going to be, and most of them are considering EEC as the location that the area of the business is going to be. And finally, let me talk a little bit about the economic recovery measure. The government just recently announced that going to put a 500 billion baht for the economic relief fund for the SME, for the poor, basically to inject money or inject cash into the system to allow the business to run over and small and medium size could survive, including the traveling package, as well as the discount price on many. So many service industry could be packaging on this incentive, and we are working on that. Beside that, next please. The key thing is to basically to provide soft loan as well as asset warehousing, where we can mortgage the asset and buy back at the later date. So this is the area to help supporting the small and medium-sized industry to be able to survive during this COVID crisis. And I leave you with my last slide, which is the role of Thailand Chamber of Commerce. Next, please. Is to connecting the dot. What I mean by that, next please, is basically Thai Chamber of Commerce will serve as your partner in terms of working in Thailand and doing business in Thailand. Anything that is an obstacle or need to be improved, we can go through the Swiss Thai Chamber of Commerce and come to Thailand Chamber of Commerce to be your partner in terms of helping solving your problem. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boulakoul, for your informative presentation and updates on post-pandemic actions of the Thai government. We have now heard a lot about the Thai government policies, offerings, and measures to the benefits of foreign investors. We are actually 40 minutes behind schedule, but now let's extend our seminar, our webinar today accordingly. And let's have now two testimonials from two Swiss companies who have already invested in Thailand and have received promotion from the BOI. One typical Swiss manufacturing SME, Noventa, a very typical Swiss company, and one global industrial player, ABB. Both will share their experiences about doing business in Thailand in and after COVID-19 and talking about opportunities and challenges. I would like to invite first Mr. Patrick Besser, CEO of Noventa. Patrick, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Dear Excellencies, dear ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome also from my side. I'm happy to share this webinar today to give you more insights about our business, mainly doing in Thailand, but of course our headquarters is in Switzerland, but I would try to focus on company in Thailand. My name is Patrick. I'm the CEO and owner of the Noventa Group, which has its headquarters located in Switzerland. And main topics which I would discuss together with you is a short introduction about Noventa Group, then mainly about Noventa Thailand, cooperation with the BUI. Maybe it's quite interesting also to see how do we see the situation, cooperation with the BUI. Then doing the business in and after COVID, especially focus on the year 2020. And of course, we are already looking forward to moving out of this quite special situation in the last 12 months. Opportunity, challenges, and also future expectations. Shortly, the Noventa Group, give you a short overview. We are 6 companies, headquarters located in Switzerland. Actually, it's our company in Switzerland located. Then we have 2 subsidiaries in Thailand and 1 in Romania. Then we have a sales activity where we are doing sales activity company in Switzerland called La Preva, and then a tooling company called Noventa Tooling and a consulting company called Noventa Consulting. In total, we employ 700 employees. Our turnover roughly last year, 90 million US dollar, and we are located in 4 different sites. Our service model is quite easy. As the ambassador of Switzerland already said, you cannot so easily find Noventa in a name somewhere in the store, but you can see a lot of products which we produce in stores, and you are quite familiar with products which we produce in Thailand as well. So the idea is very easy. We turn good ideas into successful products. So what we are doing is product development, industrialization, and production mainly. Our customer is coming with the idea, we serve the product, and the market is in the hand of our customers. That's important. Here are more samples of products, what we are doing. And for example, we do typically box build manufacturing. Box build manufacturing means we do the complete entire product. For example, shower toilets, vacuum cleaners, something which you might have used already, travel adapters, world adapters. And in the last 12 months, it's quite important hand disinfection, soap dispensers, washroom hygiene products. That's something what we are doing. Besides, we are doing assembly groups and high sophisticated plastic parts, what you can see here. As I said, we are producing on 3 sites. Since 10 years, we are working in our site in Thailand. We do their industrialization, plastic injection, and equipment assembling. Since 4 years, we started our activities in Romania. And location in Switzerland, we are since many years active. Good. Going more deeply to Noventa Thailand. Noventa Thailand's foundation was in 2009. A lot of things were based on the BUI process as well. Employees, right now we are 200, services, industrialization, plastic injection, molding, equipment assembling, logistics. Management is done from Anis Rifai. He is actually an Austrian guy, which at the moment he just traveled to Switzerland, so he sits almost beside me, and he is 1 week staying in Switzerland, going back afterwards. Some of our references, customers, Bernina, which is actually also active in Thailand, and one of the reasons why we stay in Thailand. Datamars, Culture, Nestle, Rotenberger's Cross, Zielabex. So there are few of our customers which we are working for. General experience after 10 years, what we have done, we started in the eastern part of Thailand, in the industrial park 304, Prachimpuri. Location is quite close to the seaport, to the airport, and also to Bangkok, which allows us a lot of opportunities, wide bandwidth of skilled and unskilled workers, employees who appreciate foreign working environment and company culture, loyalty of employees to a good and fair employee. That was a really good experience what I had on myself. And as a member of ASEAN, Thailand offers several opportunities. I don't want to go further because all the previous speakers did talk already a lot about. But the good support for foreign investors in Thailand is interesting benefits for the BOI. That's something, not last but not least, was also one reason why we choose Thailand as our possibility to start our activity. Our activities or BOI benefits when we started 10 years ago was maybe a little bit more easy, at least to identify the industry. This gets, in my opinion, quite complicated with to see in which area we fit. But 10 years ago, it was quite clear. 8 years, we have exemption on corporate income tax. We have a lot of tax incentives. Most of them we already have seen in the previous presentation. The non-tax incentives are quite important for us as well. We are a 100% foreign ownership company. So this is something which, of course, we would address. It's quite important for a company like Noventa. Permission to own the land. Of course, we bought the land, we built our own factory there, and permission to bring in expats to get visa and work permits. We run roughly 4 expats in our company in Prachimburi, and for that reason, it might be very important that this permission is given from the BOI. So that are the tax incentives and the non-tax incentives. The cooperation with the BOI, and here I would like to point out slightly on the situation during COVID. And the last 10 years, of course, we worked quite intensively with them. Most of the time we traveled to Bangkok. Always was a very easy arrangement for meeting with the BOI office. A lot of paperwork is to do, so you have to be aware that you need administration officers to do all this administration work. Most of them was paper-based system, but we have seen during this phase of COVID, this gave us a lot of enhancement in the process and faster service. Right now, 90% is online system related, which speeds up the situation heavily, gives us and ourselves a high efficiency, which helps a lot. And of course, good tracking system as well, protecting the non-compliance transactions and providing continuous support via online system. It's much easier. Of course, we also have future expectations after COVID, especially also to the BOI. So we are looking also in the future for attractive BOI benefits for boosting up existing capacity or business expansion, or enabling more business activities for foreign businesses. And building more BOI supporting offices may be closer also to the industrial park where we are working as an investor. So these are some points on our wish list, which we would like to point here as well. But a lot of things turned in a very, very easy and good way, especially during this phase of COVID. Doing business in and after COVID, that's a quite specific topic in the last 12 months. And you can imagine it's one of the biggest topic for all 3 sides. And I tried to bring some facts and figures on the table just to compare a little bit the situation between all 3 locations. If you see, that's quite different. When we are looking to our company, Noventa Thailand, so far we had zero infections in our company. If I look to Noventa Romania, we had 65 infections so far. And in Switzerland, we had as well 29 infections from 200. And if you are looking at the statistic of COVID infections compared Switzerland to Thailand, we came through several lockdowns where in Thailand was almost the situation quite smooth. And it started actually in the past weeks with higher infection rates. still on a low level compared to Switzerland. Switzerland is still on the level of 1,500, but lowering down. That's only the infection side. The side of comparison of revenue, it's much more impact. As you can see here, we are producing travel adapters. It's one of our main topics in Thailand. And there we had, of course, a high drop in production, in consumption, no duty-free, no travel activities, and we dropped by 38%. In Romania, we are more or less related to automotive industry. We dropped by 25%. And the good topic in Switzerland, we could increase by 5% because we are more related on hygiene, on shower toilets, and products which were demanding, especially during that time through COVID. Other topics, I'm sure you get a lot of information about that. Cost increase for logistic availability as well is a big topic to get. Even the containers, even the price is 4 times higher, but only to get is a big headache. Cost increase of raw materials from 10 to 60% increase of lead time for parts like electronics, 1.5 to 3 times. So if I buy electronic parts right now, I have to wait more than 1 year. So it's a lot about forecasting and knowing about the future to order in time. Major opportunities and challenges during COVID. Of course, we did not have only challenges, we also had opportunities. So we started to get much more flexible. We had much more flexible working models in place, like home office. We were prepared, digitalization, of course, that we were able to bring the people home to work from home as well. New technologies allows us for better and easier communication without traveling. Myself, I'm not used to stay such long time in office in Switzerland, but right now I'm since more than 1 year almost in Switzerland, waiting to see our company in Thailand as well. A lot of paperless systems which were implemented, not only for BOI system, also in our company as well. Then, of course, we are in certain areas where we had felt that we had growing businesses like the household industry, especially in hygiene. And we are in washroom and hygiene solutions. So also this industry was heavily demanding through that time. For an example, disinfection units for hand disinfection growth by 3 times, which was also a challenge to get it, not only an opportunity. For that reason, challenges, managing the new standards implemented due to COVID-19. This was a huge challenge. So we had to set new standards in our company. We had to keep distance. We had to keep hygiene measurements as well. Dropping revenue of the travel adapters only by almost 90%, which of course we could fill up with others. Was the good side. Revenue for other customers increased by 300%. Logistics supply chain raised cost heavily and exponentially, rising material cost. Strict travel standards make it hard for expats to travel abroad. This is maybe something we really have to know. The expats are more or less locked down in the country where they are, and there is almost no possibility to move efficiently between countries. And currently, not so easy to get vaccinations done for the industry. Future expectation about the situation after COVID. Of course, we still believe in the future. We still believe that our company, we will have a growing strategy also in Thailand. And we face already a very high demand for certain products like household and washroom, but also for other things. This might come from the lockdown, but we face there a very high demand. Increased travel activities. We in Europe, we are prepared already for moving between countries, and I expect already in August a certain increase on travel activities. This will give us also an increase of our production for travel adapters in Thailand. And we worked in the last few months very intensively on new products and innovation, like new kinds of face shield and face masks, handless door opener, new hand disinfection units, and hygienes like shower toilets. This will bright our future as well for Noventa. Good. And last but not least, I would cite Aristotle. On that point, we cannot direct the wind, but we can adjust the sails. And that's, I think, what Noventa is doing. And I only can say we are quite happy with our investment in Thailand. We are looking forward to somehow drive out of this COVID crisis. And of course, looking forward to be very successful in the future together with all the involved participants like BOI as well. Thank you very much for attending.
Thank you, Patrick, for your presentation. Probably every Swiss and the majority of travelers globally probably have your travel adapter produced by Noventa at home, and we all hope we can use it again soon. I would now like to invite Mr. Gianandrea Bruzzone, Country Managing Director of ABB Thailand. ABB is also a famous company which we all globally, probably every citizen on this earth has been in touch in some ways with ABB, with products of ABB. The floor is yours.
Thank you, and good morning, good afternoon to everybody. It's very nice to be here in this virtual event. Very interesting information we got from the colleagues before. And I'm very pleased to provide a perspective from ABB. So who we are, what we do, what are the challenges and the technology that we are looking for, and some examples of what's happening in Thailand in the past 12 months. Very interesting activities. So first of all, I would like to introduce quickly ABB. ABB is a leading global technology company that energizes the transformation of society and industry to achieve more productive and sustainable future. We are positioned very well across the world. We divide the world in 3 areas: Europe, America, and Asia, Middle East, and Africa. We have more than 100,000 employees, and we operate in more than 100 countries. We are divided in 4 businesses. I name them electrification, motion, process automation, and robotic and discrete automation. The same setup is mirrored in the country, in Thailand, where we have the same structure. So when it comes to history and trends, ABB has always been pushing the boundaries of technology for more than 130 years. So we were part of all the industrial revolutions, and we are very proud to continue that trend in our factories, in our R&D center all over the world. We also have a very good history in Thailand. Particularly, we operate as ABB since 1978. We were called differently. We were called ASEA and Brown Boveri. ABB became ABB in 1988, but earlier we were operating in Thailand with our activities. And I would like to give you a snapshot of who we are in the country. So we are basically present in various locations around Thailand. You can see the map on the right. We have about 500 employees, 250 million revenues. We also oversight the businesses in Myanmar, Cambodia, and Laos. So Thailand is like a hub for us. And we have 7 locations. We have the headquarters in Bangkok. We have a factory in Samut Prakan, where we produce low voltage switchgear and medium voltage switchgear. And we also have a small operative and R&D center for robotics. And then we have various other offices where we do service activity. And the biggest one is in Rayong and in Lanchabang. So this is part of the EEC area, the Eastern Corridor. This is a very dynamic area where we do a lot of activity in oil and gas, marine, chemical, and there is definitely a lot of electrification and automation processes to start up. So I would like to now to turn the conversation into the driver, the technology and business driver nowadays. And you know, the Industrial Revolution started with various flow 100 years ago. Today, digitalization is the driver of changes. You can see from the slide some examples. I pick up a few of them, but the artificial intelligence and machine learning is definitely a game changer. Big data, how do you handle big data? Cloud computing, with COVID, we enhance the usage of data and the storage. Cybersecurity, you know everyday story about cyber attacks. Connectivity. Now, there are a lot of areas where this technology can be applicable. I also take 5G, for example. But most of the time, we are used to look at these trends from a consumer point of view. There is a lot to do also in the industrial environment. And I would like to give you some real examples of where ABB is applying that. Before to jump into the real examples, I am giving you in the presentation one link called Abb Smart Society that you can Google it, you can search it from your provider, and you can find a page where you land and you see a lot of example of area where ABB offers solution for sustainable and reliable energies. It is applicable to smart city, power, industry, smart infrastructure. And I'm very pleased to now jump into real examples of what we are doing in Thailand. Now, the first example that we started 1 year ago, less than 1 year ago, in November 2020, we signed a memorandum of understanding with Ericsson for the usage of 5G, not in the consumer area, but the industrial area. And one example I would like to show you here is a pilot we are testing for remote insight activities. Remote insight means you will be able to do testing and operation from remote with multiple camera to visualize activity in harsh environment, in factory or in remote area. And with this COVID situation, this is definitely a game changer. You don't need to go to a site to do a commissioning, but you do it from remote. We are doing this already with 4G technology, with the quality of the video, which is a little bit lower, but you can imagine in the future, what does it mean to offer remote insight in the industrial environment. So this is a quite interesting environment that we are working, and it's a collaboration between supplier like ABB, 5G provider like Ericsson, and local operator that are the one that provide the service. Another example, very recent and very actual, is related to COVID-19 testing equipment. So thanks to our robotic technology, we were able to support Thailand Mahidol University and the Institute of Molecular Bioscience to support rapid and safe way of testing and handling various sample of vaccine. So we did that through our UMI and our IRB solution. So these are two kinds of robots. And the application is basically enabling the robot to perform tasks such as picking up sample in this COVID environment and testing environment. So this is very actual and very important. Another reality which is very hot in Thailand now is the production of the vaccine AstraZeneca. Thailand made a deal, and thanks to Siam Bioscience Park, the production started, and ABB was part of this facility production where we provide the universal power supply equipment to maintain efficiency and constant supply of power. In an environment like hospital or research center or production of vaccine, you cannot afford to have bad power or shortage of power. And this is a very important achievement, because we are supporting the country in the production of the vaccine that is required very urgently. The last example I want to give you is also very actual, and is the turn into the e-mobility. ABB fast charging solution to shape the future of e-mobility in Thailand. Very recently, PEA, that is the Provincial Electrical Authority, together with Banchak petrol station, they embarked in a journey to install 124 fast chargers in their petrol station around the countries. And that was announced in February. We have the opening in February. And now all these units are all in operation. And you can already see in the network, the infrastructure moving on. And I think this is the trend that is moving very fast. This is an example from PEA and Banchak. The ball is rolling. We also have project with IGAT. We have project with the private partners. We have project with developers, and the usage of EV is definitely enhanced. I'm also very pleased to say that this week we also had a meeting with our team in the Swiss embassy. We promise His Excellency the ambassador to support the embassy with our technology, and we will be installing ABB AC charger and DC charger in the premises to support the renewable of energy also in the Swiss embassy and in the Swiss area. That's very, very good. So these are 4 examples of applications that are very actual, are very real. And I would like to close my presentation with a couple of comments related to our performances and our challenges over COVID. 2020 for ABB Thailand was a good year. We have 3 businesses growing and 1 business below expectation. And the business that is going below expectation is linked to service. You can imagine going to a site, installing electrical equipment or maintaining electrical equipment in a COVID environment has been very difficult. We have a lot of project delays. We have a lot of postponement. And this is the main area where we suffer. On the other side, we see a lot of improvement in operation investment. A lot of companies were asking new robots or investment in data center or projects that need to go on, especially in the hospital world. E-mobility came up. We have application 5G move up. So we have a good mix of examples that improve and a few of them that went down. And the last comment I want to give you is about how to handle COVID. Of course, it's a challenge. We have 500 people. We have no local cases reported. We have a lot of near miss, a lot of people that were in contact with the population with COVID. We isolate them, we did the test, but luckily no one was tested positive. And the challenge in this environment is to run a factory or to run a service activity in a COVID environment. And every second day you have some news, your neighbor get in trouble or your customer get in trouble. I think the key to handle this COVID is the precaution. So wearing the mask, using the distance, washing your hand, don't go to area crowded. And the example I give you are very good example that you can do it. So even in a tough environment like we have today globally, we can be successful. So I believe this is a good example that the audience can take. And I believe Thailand is a land of opportunity. There is space for everybody. As long as you have idea and you are on top of your technology, definitely it's a place to be. So that's the end of my presentation. And thank you very much for listening and for the opportunity to present. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gian Andrea, for your exciting presentation and showing what level of technology can be industrially applied in Thailand. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we have concluded the presentation part. We are currently 50 minutes behind schedule. Nevertheless, I would suggest that we still take a very few minutes to take one or two questions. And for further questions, you have the facility on your bottom, a bottom for question and answers, where you could write down your questions, which then will be answered by BOI in Frankfurt after the webinar. But for today, for right now, I would say I have one question which I would like to raise. What were the main constraints for Noventa Thailand as a foreign investment during the pandemic? Patrick, could you maybe elaborate a little bit on this? You are still with no sound. Yeah.
Oh, I should unmute. Yeah. Yes, thank you very much for the question. Actually, I already brought up a lot of topics, but beside all these topics about turnover, maybe also topics and challenges, I think one of the main topic is also which we faced was the situation for our expats in Thailand. So of course, now since more than a year, they are more or less locked down. And I think we have to face the issue that we try to find possibilities to move easier between certain countries for certain reasons, even if we have other strong regulations, how we can enter into the country, because this gives a limitation, and in my opinion, could be a disadvantage to find good expats end of the day for such investments, because this, of course, this will bring up this situation again to potential new employers. What does it mean? And to the family and to the relatives somewhere in the world. I think we should not forget about that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, thank you. There are some questions which I think have been answered already regarding innovation and technologies from Gian Andrea. Another question which popped up here is about the free trade agreement, Switzerland, EFTA, with Thailand. That's certainly an interesting question, how are the negotiations going on and how does it look in the near future? Thanks and congratulations for the presentations. Best regards from Zurich. So if the Swiss ambassador is still online, I would say this is the time, yes, to reveal some secrets. How far are we on the negotiations with the free trade agreement with Thailand?
Yes. So no secret, no secrets. So first of all, there had been a technical round, so a sort of a pre-round before actual negotiations started. I have to think now, this must be a little bit, it's roughly a year ago, and it had to be digital because already then nobody could travel. I can say that from the EFTA side, all member countries have gotten their mandate from their respective governments. So we are good to go. It is my understanding, but I must say I'm dialing maybe back a month or so when we last talked to the chief negotiator, the Thai chief negotiator. Yeah, I understand she's still waiting for her mandate. But nevertheless, the Thai side has been very active. They actually hired also a neutral, I think it was an academic think tank, who did exactly that, looked at what are the opportunities, what will be the challenges. And I'm happy to say this was really independently and not from EFTA side, that this consultant came back and really gave 2 thumbs up and said, overall, the opportunities are bigger for Thailand than challenges. But one has to be honest about free trade. There will be always, of course, also challenges. I think what the expert signaled and flagged was the topic of agriculture. That's usually also a hot potato in Europe. So we will certainly have to have some negotiations on that. So Thailand, of course, wanting to have more access to the EFTA markets, and some of EFTA members, Switzerland included, being rather on the protective side when it comes to agriculture. And this is for the Swiss people here. No, this also has a historic backdrop that we really would like to, keep the sector alive in Switzerland. And another topic is IP. Of course, Switzerland, I can tell you, will only want to sign something where IP is possibly strengthened. And certainly not weakened, because Swiss, we compete on innovation. We cannot compete on price. So we compete on quality and innovation. There might be some concerns there, which is normal. It's normal, nothing to be alarmed around pharma and IP and so on. So there are some challenges. Since Norway is part of the EFTA family, there was some points on seafood. So this is where the Swiss ambassador can sort of relax, because certainly not a topic for Switzerland. As I said, these pre-talks, so not negotiations, but technical pre-talks, have shown nothing that worries us. What the Thai side has done, this study shows good potential for Thailand. Same on EFTA, otherwise we wouldn't have been reaching out to Thailand. I must also say that there is an EFTA parliamentarian group that has reached out to Thai Parliament. We felt that it was important, because whatever is going to be negotiated will then have to be going through the national parliament. So we feel it's important. Also there, only positive signals. But the negotiations per se have not started, because the Thai chief negotiator DG Oromon doesn't have her mandate yet from her government. But I'm really hoping that this will happen soon. And then I guess we will have to start first rounds digitally. And EFTA Parliament they wanted to come last year. They have said that they still have Thailand on their agenda, hopefully in November. So the companies that are in Thailand will have an opportunity to engage with EFTA parliamentary delegation.
Thank you very much, Ambassador, for this update. And maybe following on this FTA issue with Switzerland, I like to ask Patrick and Gianandrea, from the company's perspective, what would you benefit with an FTA being in place between Switzerland and Thailand? Is there anything you like to comment on right now, Patrick or Gianandrea? Gianandrea?
Yes, definitely an agreement between the country will help to boost some niche areas. And it depends which business are you in. I mean, in a company like ABB, we have multiple suppliers. We do something in many areas of the region. We do something also locally. We also do something in Switzerland. So we have factory in Switzerland, and we import some components or some material. So definitely an agreement will open up competitiveness and speed in terms of making things fast. I believe is definitely a plus for the economy. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Patrick, what would you say?
Actually, I fully agree on what Gianandrea says. Makes us much more efficient, So we are working a lot with a country like Switzerland. So we ship goods to Switzerland, we ship goods to Europe, as we are an OEM producer for overall the world. And this helps us, of course, to make the things much easier and faster. This is very helpful. Administration is quite complicated, and we hope that we get some benefits on that side.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, the webinar has now come to its end. We are far above scheduled time, but nevertheless, I think it was worth it. The end of the pandemic, COVID-19, is also in sight. Proportionally to the relaxation of government measures against the virus, economies are recovering, and more quickly than anticipated, as we can see it in those countries which already open up again. It's time to shift from shock to action. It's time to move from fear to braveness and to growth. I would like to thank all our speakers for their presentations today. I also like to thank every one of you for your time and patience to attend and to listen with full concentration to the various presentations. I know you are all hungry and thirsty now after this marathon. Unfortunately, I'm very sorry not to be able to offer you drinks and food as it would be at physical events, which would have, of course, also the great benefit of real networking. Isn't that networking also something we all have been missing badly for more than a year? Let's put the pandemic into the history books as soon as possible. We look forward to hearing from you. Please get in touch with the BOI, with us, on your plans for Thailand. And if you are not planning to invest in Thailand right now, please give us feedback on how you found this webinar and what could be improved in the future. On behalf of the Board of Investment of Thailand, the Royal Thai Embassy in Bern, the Swiss Asian Chamber of Commerce, and the Swiss Embassy in Bangkok and the Swiss Thai Chamber of Commerce, I like to thank you all very, very much for attending this seminar. It's now time to think post-COVID and to focus on resilient entrepreneurship. Think post-pandemic, think resilience. Think resilience, think Thailand. Kop Kun Kap, Savadi Krap, goodbye to you. Thank you.